Something interesting has happened in pop music. There are a lot of good artists making good songs, but when you hear them, it's kind of like what you expect, right? Nice, clean singing, crisp guitars. It all kind of sounds like hi-fi and professional. It's so rare that an artist makes a record that sounds dramatically different from anything else that's popular. So I thought today we'd take a look at a record like that, which is Brat by Charli XCX. I'll break down the 3 things that make Brat sound so unique and how you can create something similar yourself. This is the Charli XCX secret formula. To me, the #1 thing that makes Brat sound, well, Brat, is the vocal processing. For example, compare this
Think about me every night, oh, is it that sweet? I guess so.
to this.
Put your hands up and dance, yeah, I'm gonna dance all night, that's right.
Both are great, but the Sabrina approach is really clean and natural, while the Charli approach is kind of about sounding like a robot, a little bit. There are a few ways to do this. Watch what happens when I turn up the retune speed of autotune on this. Or when I add this phasing effect. Or when I add a doubler, which gives the illusion there are 2 voices singing instead of 1. Bonus round. I really want to serve that Brat realness, so I'm going to create a stutter effect by cutting up the vocal. Sounds like this. All right, and when you choose the right effects, you get a vibe kind of like this.
You're such a
By the way, if you're younger, you might not know this, but this was a super popular technique used back in the 2010s, like overused.
feeling so fly like a G6.
Still works though. I get hype every time I hear those stutters. So most pop songs are generally pretty repetitive. You write a catchy lyric and melody and hope it gets stuck in your listeners' minds. The trick is to repeat a phrase so much that it pretty much hypnotizes your listener. Truly, we're talking psychology here. Our brains are actually wired to release feel-good chemicals whenever something is repeated a lot. This chant-like repetition is not new news. It's been used in traditional music for like thousands of years to put people in almost trance-like states. And since we haven't physically evolved that much, it still works. Of course, super repetition is not the only way to create a super catchy song. So much of it has to do with production too, which is why I'm sharing my top 99 production tricks in my upcoming course. These techniques are the reason I went from amateur to having songs on #1 Billboard albums. Get on the early access list and I'll send you an extra music production tip every week. We've talked about vocals and songwriting, but Charli's instrumentals are also unique. I like to call this style digital minimalism. That's a mouthful. Digital means most if not all elements need to come from a synthesizer and can't be organic. For example, you wouldn't want to use a live clap like this. Instead, you'd use something like this, which is sampled from a keyboard. Now, minimalism means you have the challenge of making a song sound really impactful without actually adding a lot of instruments. Basically, Charli's songs just focus on a few elements. For example, synths like this. Every element is going to stand out and be heard by the listener, so every element needs to be as interesting as possible. I processed it with EQ and made it wider in the stereo image to kind of make it brighter and more impactful in the mix. And I added this other little synth to the part to kind of play off as a counterpart. Now let me show you what I would do with the bass in this type of track. So what I did to make it more present is I actually combined 2 basses. So this is an 808 that I use as like the body of the bass. And this is a synth bass layer, which acts as added harmonics. And of course, Brat wouldn't be Brat if it wasn't danceable, so we need drums. I kept it pretty simple with a few key elements that are a little weird and unique. Like this clap delay here, or this thing I'm calling the breath shaker, which is literally cut up breaths on the offbeat, used as percussion. And this is what it sounds like all put together. So this was me breaking down the Charli XCX secret formula. Let me know which artist formula I should show next, and don't forget to sign up for the Music Producer Crash Course Early Access to get some exclusive tips. I'll see you next time.